On today's show, Devin Booker selected to do his 5th All-Star game, but Dillon Brooks was left out. Did the committee get it right? Plus, could Jeremy Sochan be on his way to the Phoenix Suns? Does it even make any sense? Let's talk about that and much more in this edition of Locked On Phoenix Suns.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome back into Locked On Phoenix Suns. My name is Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, where we talk all things Arizona sports and a credentialed Phoenix Suns media member covering your Phoenix Suns for the #1 sports podcast network in the world, the Locked On Podcast Network. Wherever you might be listening, viewing, consuming Locked On Phoenix Suns, appreciate you making myself and this show a part of your day. But remember, Locked On Phoenix Suns free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Just click that follow or subscribe button to do what thousands of Suns fans have already done. Become an everyday and get Locked On the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Joining me today from the Suns Jam Session podcast, from the managing editor of Bright Side of the Sun, 6'2", 225 pounds, staggering jump shot from the corner. And I think it's about it. My guy, John Voita, what's up?
Hey, for those of you who listen to your podcast on 1.5 speed, that intro is just killer, man. That was fantastic. You rattled that off, man.
I have people telling me, like, why do you say the same thing every single time? That's what they tell me to say, all right?
Well, it's also, you never know when it's the first time somebody's getting locked on, so you got to give them the proper introduction. Everybody else, it's like the Bill Simmons podcast. I listen to it all the time. I go through the intro every time because I've heard all the same, things before. But for the new people, welcome aboard. He's Ben. I'm John. Let's do this thing.
John is the everydayer host of the show. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, but I will say, for those of you who don't know, definitely go check out the Suns Jam Session podcast. I do hope, and this is going to be like your little Easter egg, I hope you left the Batman mask. I hope you left it at home, not in the room with you currently, because there's going to be no need for that on this show. And I'll just say that for those of you who don't know. Oh goodness, here it comes.
It's always at the ready, man. Where is she? Where's Rachel?
Okay. The original Suns post-game show, my live post-game show, because we don't go live. With that being said, let's start here. So I don't want to spend a ton of time because I talked about this yesterday about Devin Booker getting his 5th All-Star selection. I'm more interested in the Dillon Brooks side of it. But the Devin Booker thing is interesting because for anyone, so I've been very critical of Devin Booker this year. And it's not because I think he's a bad player or I'm, this hater of Devin Booker. My thing is, the Suns told me in the offseason what they thought of him. A supermax player. So that elevated my expectations. So I'm going to hold him to that. But I've never said he wasn't an all-star. He's absolutely should have been an all-star. And my reasoning for it was, I don't even care about any statistics. I won't even go as far as 8 days ago. I'll just stand within the last 7 days or so, 7-8 days. We have 2 examples in the past week and a half. Clippers game and the Heat game, both at home, by the way, where the Suns got ran out of the building because Devin Booker wasn't there to help orchestrate the offense. His points per game are down. His field goal percentage is a little down. 3-point percentage is way down. He's not having the most efficient statistical season that he's ever had. But it is clear if you have eyeballs and you're watching the games and you're not box score watching, just how much he means to this offense. I do think they win last night if he plays. Your thoughts on Devin Booker getting the All-Star nod, to anyone out there that's like, probably shouldn't have deserved it?
I don't think there's anybody out there who thinks that he doesn't deserve it for a couple of different reasons. And first and foremost, you're correct. His efficiencies are down. But just because his efficiencies are down doesn't mean necessarily that his impact is down. In fact, his impact, I would say, is up. And for the reasons that you stated, Ben, because he's the great stabilizer on this team. And you look at a team last night that played the Los Angeles Clippers, and they made more three-pointers than they had second chance points. They 12 of 47 from inside the three-point line and only 3 mid-range shots. That's Devin Booker's bread and butter. So him making an all-star game, I think, is absolutely deserved, combined with the fact that what is the all-star game? The all-star game is a mid-season, 2/3 of the way through season, but ultimately considered kind of a mid-season classic that is almost a bookmark of the season that you're watching. It tells the stories of the season that you're watching. If you go back to the 2015 All-Star game, you see 4 Hawks make the All-Star game. In fact, the only starting member of that starting 5 who didn't make the All-Star game was DeMary Carroll, who's the assistant coach for the Phoenix Suns. You go back to 92, 93, 95, Dan Marley's in there, because the Suns were that good that they needed a secondary and tertiary player there to represent what they were doing to the league that year. So having Devin Booker in the All-Star game, if he wasn't there, it would be an absolute snub, because the Phoenix Suns have been one of the best stories of the season. So when you go back 10 years from now and you're watching NBA TV and you're seeing highlights of the 2026 All-Star game and Devin Booker's there, you're like, oh yeah, that was the year, because they'll talk about it on the air and they'll remind you, it's like, that was the year that they were supposed to win 30 and a half games and they went 30-20 in their first 50. So from a narrative standpoint, he absolutely should be there, and it's well earned for his 5th All-Star game, albeit the 3rd one he's actually been selected to, because the other 2 were injury replacements.
We'll move to Dillon Brooks in just a second. Jeff Teague, Al Horford, Paul Millsap. Who's the 4th one?
Jeff Teague, Al Horford.
Not important. I just thought you knew it off the top of your head.
I was looking at it the other day.
I know it's obviously not DeMary Carroll, but I know it's those 2 guys. Anyway, it's not super important.
Was Brewer on that team?
Dillon Brooks wasn't on that team. I'm going to look it up as you answer this question. I'm not upset LeBron James made the All-Star game over Dillon Brooks. The reasoning why I'm not upset about it, does Dillon Brooks, in theory, probably deserve it over LeBron? Sure, especially when you talk about like games played and his impact on winning this year. Absolutely. But when you're the greatest, well, you know, let's not even do that. Let's not do that. When you're a top 5 basketball player of all time, you get a pass until you retire, and I'm not going to be upset about it. I think next year's LeBron James's final season in the NBA, he'll probably get the Adam Silver special nod like they did with Nowitzki and Wade. But LeBron is the symbolism of NBA basketball right now. He's, in my opinion, the greatest player ever. That's going to annoy people, but whatever. I'm not upset that he made it in. I'm not upset that he made it in. Although I will concur that Dillon Brooks probably should have, but it was close enough to where I'm just going to give it to the living legend. What was your thoughts on it?
So first off, it was Kyle Korver. That was the number 4 guy.
Kyle Korver made an All-Star game?
Yeah, that's part of that 2015 squad. So I'm not upset that LeBron James made the All-Star game over Dillon Brooks. I'm upset that he made it over Kawhi Leonard, because Kawhi Leonard has been a buzzsaw on a team that has been unbelievably unbeatable over their last 20 games. And I get the free pass crap that they dish out because it's LeBron, it's a legacy thing. But again, from a narrative standpoint, when you go back and you look at this, you're going to look at it and go, there's 2 things that I want to hit on here. One, the Lakers are not a great team, and they've got 2 All-Stars. It's not fair to the rest of the league. It really isn't. And the second thing, if you think about it, and again, you go back and you take a look at the narrative of this season, LeBron James, he's played in 30 games. He hasn't been an efficient version of himself. You know, the highlight of him at Madison Square Garden last night, airballing from midcourt, you know, it's just, it's not the story he didn't deserve the story in my opinion. He's also
just disinterested this year.
He is. And that's another part of this is, remember, he was selected to the All-Star game last year. He didn't even go. No real reason. It wasn't like he was nursing an injury. He told you, it was like, but like, he doesn't even care about the All-Star game. Whereas Kawhi Leonard, it's in his house. It's in the Intuit Dome. He's playing great. Of course, there's rumors of aspiration being a factor per Brian Windhorst, and you could look at that, and maybe that's the blackballing of the NBA, or maybe it's not. But LeBron James shouldn't be there, in my opinion. Legacy award be damned. He shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that one's just hard for me. I understand. I'm not anyone in the comment section that gets frustrated by it. I get it. Just the legacy of LeBron.
But like, the All-Star game's not a legacy thing.
Well, it kind of is.
It's meant to define what this season was to this point, and the Lakers are not a story. They're not. The only story that they are is how they're paper tigers with no depth, and how Luka can go off one night, but it's a turbulent team that has turbulent ownership and situations occurring there. And again, that's not what the design of the All-Star game is made. It's designed to celebrate what the season is, not what his career has been. Put him on the third-team All-NBA squad if you want a legacy award, and even then he won't earn that.
Well, it's also just funny because the Lakers are technically better than the Suns right now in the standings, but first off, they have a negative point differential.
Mm-hmm.
They beat up on a bunch of bad teams early.
Mm-hmm.
And
they've been living off that house money ever since.
Dude, they just so we're clear. I think that they're going to I think the Suns are going to surpass them. The Lakers are just funny. This is something I talked about in the early on in the season. I thought they'd be worse actually than they are right now, but it seems like they're starting to fall back to reality. It's just something that it's an argument that I'm willing to lose because I won't live off statistics or impact. I'm just going to go off of legacy. And I don't know if you can tell the story of the NBA season ever without LeBron. You know what's crazy is I thought Kawhi Leonard got in up until someone told me last night. I was watching a live stream and someone mentioned Kawhi and I just thought he got in. I don't know why I missed it. And so an hour later, someone goes, no, he didn't actually get in. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, that sucks. Because when LeBron eventually bails out, it's going to be Kawhi and not Brooks, which is wild. Anyways. The Suns, last night I mentioned everyone, was a game in which the Suns had their biggest flaw exposed. Is it enough to entertain this next player on the Phoenix Suns? Talk about that, much more next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff. The last chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60. FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay. This is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's a perfect way to cap off the season. Make sure the Super Bowl is even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 to get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count because after the Super Bowl, season is over. Last call for football fans on FanDuel, an official sports book partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help move your business forward. If you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria. If we were hiring for this show and I wanted someone, I would just, put out there anyone who is the opposite of my guy, John Voita. I'd hire them right on and they'd just be a better fit immediately. That's what I like about Indeed. You can get those specific and targets exactly what you need. It saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches. And with sponsored jobs, your post gets seen by candidates who are actually a fit. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time investing with candidates who check all the boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help you get your job on the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Also, guys, just a quick reminder, we did launch our Everydayer Club, and we want to give you your first month free. You would get an ad-free version of this show, and if you sign up by the trade deadline on February 5th and use code DEADLINE to get your first month free, tap the link in the show notes, or if you're watching on YouTube, check it out in the episode description as well. Okay, Ryan Dunn has played fairly poorly recently. And we can dive deeper into that later because I do think that's it's a little bit of the chicken and the egg argument. Which one should you talk about first? But I think people are more interested in this player that could potentially replace him. Jeremy Sochan has been mentioned, rumored about a potential fit for the Phoenix Suns. I'm going to be honest with you, John. I just don't get it. I don't know what he adds to this team outside of literal, like he's just taller. Is he any more playable than Ryan Dunn is right now? Like, I'd rather just run it out with a Ryan Dunn because I'm not spending any draft picks and I'm not throwing any cap or any players at it.
Yeah, if you're looking for the Jeremy Sochan fan club, I'm not a member of it. I've never really kind of understood the appeal. Okay, I can understand aspects of the appeal because if you're talking about an attitude and effort type of player who presumably would fit well with this Phoenix Suns team, yeah, he fits that mold, right? He is gritty. He's somebody who could come in off the bench because you're not going to start this guy. Come in off the bench and give you minutes that involve hustle and grit and disruption, right? But at the end of the day, it's the same challenge that you have with Ryan Dunn. And the reason why Ryan Dunn, in my opinion, has seen his minutes dwindle pretty extensively since Isaiah Livers has become healthy. And that's because he can't shoot. You can have all the disruption you want. And Jeremy Sochan provides that disruption, but he can't shoot. He shoot what, a career 28.7% shooter from beyond the arc. We already have that in Ryan Dunn. We don't need to go get Jeremy Sochan, who's an inch taller, and be like, yep, there we go.
Yeah,
that's the answer. So I really don't understand the appeal. Never have understood the appeal of the guy. It's funny because I have one of my good buddies is a Spurs fan, and every time we talk about potential trades, every time he's always telling me how great Sochan is, and then also including him in the deal for Giannis or what have you. I'm like, dude, nobody wants Sochan, man. Like, again, a great off the bench motivation, gets the fans up guy, but we have that in spades here in Phoenix.
Yeah, there's too many of them.
We have too many of them, and we don't need to, as you mentioned, give up draft capital in order to do so. So I don't see the fit at all.
Well, okay, I'm happy I'm not on this island alone because oftentimes people I'm not, me, man. I'm not super. I understand the backing of analytics and I understand the backing of statistics, but I don't live and die by them. If I lived and died by them, I would think Devin Booker is they were succeeding despite him. Mm-hmm. But you have to use your eyeballs. And dude, in the last 10 games, if you're talking about statistics, 1 rebound a game, 1 point a game, less than assists a game in his last 10. And in 4 of those last 10 games, he has played 6 minutes or less. Oh my gosh, 5 of them. In half of those games, he has played 6 minutes or less. He's not playable on the Spurs right now. And we had this in Josh Okogie last year. That's why he got rid of him. I'm not joking with you. I wouldn't trade Nick Richards for him. Because at least with Nick Richards, like, I don't love it. I've never loved Nick Richards, but like, if Mark Williams goes down,
bingo.
At least I have a big, like, might not be a great option, but it's a spare tire. It gets me from point A to point B.
100% it does. People are so quick.
What am I doing here?
People are so quick to dismiss Nick Richards. He is a quality backup. He's not a quality starter. And when he's been put in starter situations over a long enough period of time, his overall appeal diminishes. But as a spot starter, when an injury occurs, he's absolutely playable in that capacity. We saw it last year. I think the biggest challenge with him, obviously, has been his basketball IQ this year, his ability to process, his ability to play within the confines of Jordan Ott's system. You can see him being personally frustrated over it. But to your point, Ben, I would much rather have that and that break glass in case of emergency situation relative to depth than adding a power forward just to add a power forward, because the guy's not going to be productive on the team. And while he might give you the hustle and grit and desire that you want from a basketball player, ultimately productivity is going to follow. And I'd rather focus our efforts on trying to fix this second year, the uneasy middle of Ryan Dunn's second season versus taking on Jeremy Sochan for a year who has an expiring contract at the end of the year.
Do you think, do you think last night getting so pulverized, it was, there's a few things here. The first thing is, did last night sway you in any way that the Suns should swing a deal, whatever that looks like?
No, I'm still on hashtag team no trades.
2, just really quickly from last night too. Last night would have been a really good attempt to try out the Kamal Malawach, Oso Ighodaro double big thing to just combat what the Clippers were doing with Brook and Zubac, and it just continues to show you, man. They don't trust him yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say he'll be a bust or he's a bad player, but they just don't trust him. Again, I'm sorry, that's just another thing on my mind. And the third thing I'll say to you is there a player out there that you're like, you know what? I'd do that. Like a Sadiq Bey.
That's the one. Damn it, you beat me to it. The only one Sadiq I would try Bey. To swing a deal is Sadiq Bey.
I just don't think they got the assets for it.
We don't. That's a player I desire, but I don't see a path getting there because, as you mentioned,
what is the path? What would you say the path is? Just out of curiosity.
The path to get Sadiq Bey?
Yeah.
Like you said, I don't
grow draft picks on trees.
I don't think there really is one. There is something that I posted on Bright Side of the Sun earlier this week, because one thing that I'm doing is I'm just kind of throwing some trades out there for our community to mull over.
Clickbait.
You know, not necessarily clickbait, but to converse about, because I'm not doing anything that I feel is completely out of bounds. I'm not throwing, because a lot of people this time of year, that's what they start to do. And the best thing that I could kind of come up with is a deal that's a 3-team deal. The Pacers and the Pelicans are involved. The Pacers get Nigel Hayes-Davis from us. They also get Yves Missy and Micah Peavy from the Pelicans. They send Benedict Mathurin to the Pelicans. We send Nick Richards to the Pelicans. And there's a first-round pick involved from the Pacers to the Pelicans. And then we ultimately end up with Sadiq Bey. So, again, it is out of bounds because all we're giving up is Nick Richards and Nigel Hayes-Davis, and somehow we get Sadiq Bey, which isn't going to happen. But if there was a world where that exists, I would be a fan of somehow, some way bringing him here.
Yeah, I'm okay with trading Nick Richards. You crossed the line when you mentioned Nigel Hayes-Davis.
Yeah, how dare I? But to answer your question before that, the interesting thing is, I thought they should have. It's something I talked about on my post-game podcast. I thought they should have tried the double big lineup, maybe Oso and Kamal Malawach, maybe more Oso and Williams, maybe Oso and Nick Richards. Just try something out there to combat it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Jornot runs his system the way that he runs his system, by instilling confidence in his players, and he tries to dictate pace rather. And last night was a night in which pace was dictated to us because Tyronn Lue very strategically said, we're going to try the double big lineup. It was successful at the back end of the first quarter, so they rode it continually and just pummeled the Suns on the glass. So it's just kind of one of those games where I'm thankful it happened, because it provides some really good on-film instances of this occurring, and the Suns can now more strategically approach that next time it does happen.
Yeah, 64 points in the paint to 16. Not a great sample size there.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was 18 made threes and like 16 points in the paint. Yikes.
The Suns shot higher from 3-point percentage than different from the field goal percentage. That was something I forgot to mention on my show yesterday because I was talking about other things. But anyways,
25% from 2.
Ryan Dunn, that's crazy. Yeah. Ryan's actually insane. Ryan Dunn has been poor. Ryan Dunn's been playing poorly over the past couple of days, and you guys have told me I should probably be as harsh on him as I was on Oso Ighodaro early on the season. But I gotta be honest with you, I was the president of the Ryan Dunn fan club for a long time, but it may be time for me to step down. More on that next. Today's episode is brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life this year. TurboTax is making it easier than ever to hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can be with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Okay, Ryan Dunn has been playing very poorly over the last couple, a little bit here. And I had people saying in my comment section, You didn't mention enough about Ryan Dunn last night. It's been a hot button topic on social media. I try to stray away from the social media side of things because social media is not real life. And then I kind of got to my comment section. Ryan Dunn has not been great. And as a defender, he's been less than spectacular. And you pointed this out the first time Jalen Green came back, which was, oh, that's interesting. Ryan Dunn only played 9 minutes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
How would I just phrase it like this? Because I am the president of the Ryan Dunn fan club. I'm not going to coin him the nickname Sweet Baby Ryan Dunn. That belongs to Oso Ighodaro. But I'll be honest with you. It's like the friend that you defend all the time, and then finally they do something terrible, and you're like, yeah, I can't even really defend that right now, so I'll let you take it.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating for him, probably especially, but just watching him, he's the one guy who kind of feels out of sync. And you look at the front end of this season, right? The first 16 games of the year, 11 times he started, right? And that was kind of the next step for him. That was the progression. And unfortunately, we've seen regression after he had a wrist injury and he missed about 5 games, because in the first 16 games, he starts 11 times. He averages 24 minutes a game. He shoots 34% from beyond the arc, which isn't great, but it's great for him. 8.4 points per game, 4.8 rebounds. And then the wrist injury happened. Since then, 0 starts, 16.6 minutes a game. So down 7 minutes, 4.7 points per game. And he's only shooting 28.3% from beyond the arc. But then you really look at the recent trend, and that's over his last 7 games. He's down to 13.7 minutes, 18.2% from 3. That's not stagnation, Ben. That's slippage. And that's, functionally, he's played himself out of the rotation. And it's tough because we're at this kind of inflection point where what do we do? What do we do with Ryan Dunn? Because, again, like I mentioned earlier, you look at Jordan Goodwin, you look at Isaiah Livers, like those players have jumped Dunn in the rotation, especially Livers. Even with the Suns lacking size, especially at the forward spots, those players stay on the floor because they marry their defensive intensity with their shooting. And that's his challenge as a player. So I know that I've said it, I've tweeted out, like, send him to the G League, kind of facetiously. But I think that might actually be an uncomfortable but practical idea, because a stint there might help, because it's not a demotion. It's a reset. It's more reps. It's more shots. It's more game speed confidence. Because when you watch him shoot, like, the foundation's there. He's squared up. He's releasing the ball quickly. The mechanics
it's not
are
a
clean.
terrible shot.
The ball just simply doesn't go in. Last season he shot 31.3 from 3. This year he's at 30.8%. That's not growth. That's regression. So now I will say that none of this means the Suns should give up on him, in my opinion. Like, not even close. Because that's not who this organization is. That's not the path they take with these young players. If anything, this moment demands more intentional development and more investment. And that circles back to a phrase I started saying with you at the front end of the season before everything kind of happened, is we have to practice patience. And this is his sophomore slump that he's going through, Ben.
Would you trade him?
No. For a couple of reasons.
Not even for the quote right trade.
No,
Someone threw this at me last night, and I said no as well. But I thought it was an interesting topic of discussion because you might be able to get something for him.
But what? Like, he doesn't move the needle financially. He doesn't make enough. Like, he might have an appeal as a project for an opposing team, but he's not the piece that swings a trade. He's part of the Suns' future, and that requires time. That requires reps. And again, it requires that word, patience. And so, because people say, well, Nick Richards and Ryan Dunn, for Jeremy Sochan, because that financially makes sense, but it doesn't make sense for the Suns in the long term, because the Suns don't have draft capital moving forward. So they have to invest in their freshmen and sophomores. Rasheer Fleming, Kamon Malawach, the way they're bringing them up, although it can be frustrating for people, is slow and intentional. And Oso has flourished this year because he's bought into the role and had an opportunity, and actually it makes sense in what Jordan Knott's trying to do. Dunn, because of his lack of shooting, he gets in the game, and now you can see him rushing things. He's flurried. He's fallen for every first step on a quick guard. I mean, when Nolan Traore is taking him off the dribble, he's got problems, right? But it's because he's in his own head. So this moment right here, This is when restraint matters most, because he's not a finished product, and he was never really supposed to be one this quickly, right? 28th overall in the draft, horrible shooter coming out of Virginia. The Suns did not need to solve him or fix him or move him. They needed to commit to him right now. They need to give him reps over reactions, development over discomfort, because the same patience demands from the organization that's ultimately going to reward them if they give him the time. Because I think it's in there. And if the Suns believe Dunn is part of their future, then this is not the time to rush to the conclusion. It's the time to stay the course.
Unless, of course, and this was what I was working on.
They trade for Michael Jordan.
Talking. How about this, buddy? How about this?
Let's see. What you working with? Yeah, it looks great on paper. And for those who are listening, it's Nick Richards and Ryan Dunn for Sadiq Bey.
Ryan Dunn for Sadiq Bey.
Yeah, it looks good on paper, but it doesn't. Like, they would want draft capital, which we don't have.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't have. But would you trade Ryan Dunn for Sadiq Bey?
What's left on Sadiq Bey's contract?
I'd have to look at it. Sadiq Bey contract. Why not? This is great. This is great podcasting. 3 years, 19 million. So next year. Oh, next year he'd be expired.
2 years. He's got 2 years left.
Well, no, this year and next year.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I think that we have to stay the course. I think that's the goal right now as an organization, is you have to commit to these young players and let the process take advantage. The fact that the Suns are playing as well as they are is the best case scenario for this team, but it shouldn't trump the developmental plan that Brian Gregory, that Jornot had in place for these players. Ryan Dunn's fallen behind right now, but we're 50 games into the season. There's 32 more of these things. Give him some confidence. Like I said, send him to the G for a week, man. Let him get that confidence back that he had coming out of Summer League, because he had it, and then he hurt his right wrist, and then he hasn't played confidently since. And other players on this team are out playing him.
It's absolutely crazy that we are 50 games into the season.
Yeah,
but we are. Here we go. It's wild. All right. That's all I got for you guys today. Reminder to check out that Everydayer Club in the episode description or in the show notes. You could use code DEADLINE before the trade deadline. Get your first month free. For my guy, John Voita, host of the Suns Jam Session podcast and the managing editor for Bright Side of the Sun. I will talk to you guys tomorrow at 1 a.m. when the Suns-Blazers game finishes, which I am not thrilled about. I'm actually very upset about. And I actually told my wife she should stop being so selfish and have our baby tomorrow so that I don't have to watch the Suns game, because then I'm going to go on paternity leave. Selfishly, she said no. Ridiculous, if you ask me. Anyways, that's John. I'm Benjamin. Talk to you guys tomorrow.